Hi everybody and welcome once again to our webinar. I'm so happy to be back after 2 weeks and I'm very excited to see many familiar names. Yeah, I can't say faces because I don't get to see you guys. Yes, but I see so many familiar names. So those of you who are new and joining us for the first time, once again, a very warm welcome to you and I really thank you for joining us tonight. And for those of you who have taken part in our survey that we sent out about 2 weeks ago, we are very grateful to hear that a majority of you actually want us to continue with our webinar once a week. So the good news is that's what we are going to be doing. We have already prepared a series of webinars. We have our webinar schedule for the next 2 months. So do make sure that you're in our mailing list so that you do not miss out on any future webinars. So our webinars have always been very engaging and interactive, of course, thanks to all of your great participation. So do please continue to participate throughout the session by typing in the chat box like how many of you have been doing, and of course ask us questions through the Q&A box right there. And of course remember to stay till the end of the webinar because we always have a special surprise for all our participants here. Before we get started, I would like to do a very quick poll to find out if this is your first time, second time, or maybe even your 10th time of joining us. So you should be seeing the poll right now. I'm launching it right now and you should see it. So yes, let us know, like, is this your first time? We see that there are quite a lot of first timers who have joined us. Yeah, but we know that there are quite a lot of you that have joined us for a number of times because your name is definitely very familiar. Yeah, so I see that about 60% have voted. Yes, so if you have not voted, keep those votes coming. We hope to at least hear from 80%, 90%, or maybe even all of you. So, okay, more than 70% have voted. And interestingly, there are quite a lot of you who are first timers. Wow. Okay, I'll give you maybe another 5 seconds to vote and I'm going to close the poll. Okay, gone. Okay, so I'll share the results with you. We have 40% of you guys who are here for the first time, and then we have some who have attended 1 to 3 times, and quite a number of you who have attended 4 to 7 times. And wow, we have some huge fans who have actually attended more than 10 times. That's super awesome. Thanks for joining us. So awesome. It looks like, we do have a balance, of new participants and existing participants who have joined us since our first webinar. I am extremely excited to delve into tonight's topic. So just to give you a little bit of the backstory. So I think as some of you might know, I have been working with Class 95 FM. So that's the #1 English radio station here in Singapore as the resident love expert for quite a while now. And if you are interested in that, you can actually tune in on Wednesday to hear me on radio. But anyways, last week I was asked to share my expertise on how to identify the marrying type. So I thought to myself that, if there's one thing that many singles, I believe, really dislike having to do is to waste time dating someone who is not serious. So do you agree with that? If you agree, type yes right now in the chat box. Yeah, so I see a lot of you, Benson, Helen, Joanne, Gerald Moon, Bing Yan, Chen Ho, Melvin, Eve. Yes, so I see many yes coming in. So exactly, so when I first saw this, I thought it's a great topic, and that's the reason why I wanted to bring in my panel of experts, our coaches, our consultants to be sharing with you tonight. So I believe that many singles would love to find out from the get-go what the other person's intention is when it comes to dating. And I mean, single friends have been telling me that, they are tired of meeting people with differing or like even strange intentions, sometimes on dating apps or maybe during other, the ways of meeting, maybe at bars, pubs, or maybe even, just through friends. So because sometimes it's like they might be looking for casual relationships, or sometimes I think on apps, you might even get messages such as they say that, oh, I'm actually married, but, I'm not having a good marriage, and that's why I'm here, I'm looking to move on. I mean, if you have heard something like that, maybe you can let us know your experience as well. So I think, there are just a lot of people with many differing intentions when it comes to, either dating apps or different ways of meeting. So even though tonight, I wish I can, but I cannot teach you how to read minds, I'm confident that tonight my distinguished panelists, Andrea and Melinda, will be able to share some proven tips from our 16 years of experience to help you to spot, attract, and of course, keep the marrying type. So is that something that you would like to find out a bit more about? If yes, please write yes right now in the chat box. Okay, yeah, I see many yeses. That's awesome. Okay, so I do realize, you know, like just now we saw that that's at least 40% of you who are new to our webinars. So, you know, before going into the main topic, which we will be going into very quickly, I just like to quickly introduce myself for the first timers here and also a bit more about what we do. Yep. So thanks, Chris, for sharing screen. Okay, so you can see that, of course, you know, like I'm an entrepreneur, so started Lunch actually about 16 years ago with my then boyfriend, now husband. I'm a certified matchmaker. I've so TED Talk, you can search that up. I've written a book. Of course, I'm a wife and a mother, so have 2 kids who are in their teens right now. And if you're interested to find out a bit more about what I do, you can always follow me on Facebook. So that's Asia Love Guru, or you can follow me on Instagram at Violet Lim. So in terms of what we do as a business, we have been around for 16 years, as I've mentioned, and we actually have presence in 5 different locations. We are in Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Indonesia, and Thailand. We have a total of 10 different dating products, and we are definitely one of the strongest brands in Southeast Asia in terms of dating. And our philosophy, so I think those of you who have been with us for a while during our webinars, you know that our philosophy is really we want to help singles to not just meet the right one, which is, you know, what a lot of other platforms are focusing on. What we are looking at, we want to help singles to be the right one, meet the right one, as well as choose the right one. And our webinars is really a way of giving back to our singles, to our clients, and we really want to help you master some of these skill sets that will really empower you to find and attract the love of your life. So I just want to share with you some of the things that we do. So I think some of you would be very familiar with our matchmaking and date coaching program. So what we are doing is, of course, we are helping to arrange dates for singles. We do the profiling sessions, we do the consultation sessions. At the same time, we do date coaching as well, because this is where we want to help our clients, help our singles to be the best version of themselves. I'm very excited to share with you, actually, we have launched a new app. So this is actually the Lunch app. It's available for download on the Apple Store as well as the Google Play Store, because what you can do on this is you can use this to actually connect with our matchmakers, with our coaches, and of course, you know, for new clients on you want to find out a bit more about what we do, you can also use the app to make an appointment with us. This is just in its beta version. We are actually looking to add on to this, so in future for our singles who have joined us, you can also use this to view your matches, and also potentially get tips and advice as well. Okay, so right now, I would like to, of course, introduce these 2 other lovely ladies who are on this call with me. So firstly, I would like to introduce the awesome Andrea. Andrea, would you like to unmute and share a bit more about yourself?
Hi everybody, I'm Andrea. I'm a senior dating consultant on Lunch actually. So I've been with Lunch actually for coming to 7 years really. Totally enjoying what I'm doing every day, meeting singles to understand about their dating challenges and of course seeing them successful. So to date, I think I have matched about more than 500 singles and still counting.
Wow, Andrea, that's amazing. So Andrea, I know, right, during the circuit breaker period and maybe even now, you have been very, very busy catching up and meeting our clients, not just, we can't do face-to-face, obviously. So you have been meeting them over Zoom calls, over WhatsApp video. So maybe you want to share with our participants tonight, you know, what are some of the, you know, interesting singles that you have met or how you have actually been helping them?
Sure. So I believe that this COVID situation allow us to have the video consultation, which we have never done that before. So in fact, some of my clients that I have spoken to, they have actually not placed relationship or even dating as their first priority. But during this circuit breaker, you know, when work load is getting lesser and they have more time to think about, hey, you know, do I really need a partner? You know, some of them even tell me that they feel very lonely during this circuit breaker. So that's the reason why they Google about Lunch actually. And then I set up the appointment with them and I do a detailed profiling with them. And, you know, they are really taking the leap of faith, taking baby steps also to really meet the right one.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Andrea. And of course, we have the mesmerizing Melinda. Melinda, please introduce yourself.
Hello everyone. Hi, I am Melinda. I am the senior date coach and relationship manager at Lunch actually. I've been working with Lunch actually for 5 years, I think slightly more. And like Andrea, I love working with Lunch actually. So I work with my clients on finding the right matches for them, as well as supporting them during their dating journey. Many of them became my friends, and I have been very happy that I could walk this very important part of their life with them. Yeah, and the last few months have been pretty difficult for all of us. We couldn't meet people, and even for us, like to support the clients during their dating journey has been a challenge. But I was very heartened. I think all of us were very heartened to see that our singles were still very resilient. They still want to meet people, as Andrea mentioned, through video calls and even through coaching or even for advice. So we have been able to do this through video calls and to keep the whole process going. Mm.
Thank you, Melinda, for the introduction. So, back to today's topic, I think it's definitely not easy to tell if someone is the marrying type or not. And I think a lot of us probably might also be wondering what exactly is the marrying type. So before we share what we think is the marrying type with you, we would like to hear from you guys. So type in right now in the chat box. So what do you think is the marrying type? Like when you think of the words marrying type, what are some of the things that come to your mind? Yeah, don't be shy. So just, let us know what your thoughts. Okay, so wow, a lot of great answers here. So White Kid say commitment. Ida say commitment. Edith say straight. Okay, interesting. Cheryl say commitment. Yeah, Michelle say wants to commit. So it seems that the key word here is like commitment. Miss Tan say genuine. Winston say homely. Evelyn say responsible. Mitch say husband material. Okay, I guess as opposed to boyfriend material. Jeremy says soulmate. Michelle says spend life with you. Wow, I'm sorry I can't read through everything because I have more than like 50 replies here. Thanks guys for, like sharing all your thoughts. I think, like the keyword as I'm just scrolling through very quickly is commitment. I also see one that stood out, which is family oriented. And Shirley said in Chinese, 认真, 愿意付出, meaning someone who is serious, someone who is giving. Awesome. Okay, thank you guys for, like your great participation and sharing with us what you think the marrying type is. So for me, the marrying type, as the name suggests, is someone who actually wants to get married. It's someone who is maybe tired of the single's life and is more than ready for a change. In fact, they are like, okay, it's really time to take the next step. And they may also feel that they no longer have much in common with their single friends, and they're also tired of, like being alone most of the time, like, when they get home, or maybe if they live with their parents or their family, they just feel that, okay, I think I want to really have someone by my side, to make a life with. And from what we have seen, the marrying type usually will also increase focus on looking for real love and attraction rather than strictly on biological attraction. So what do we mean by that? So, in other words, they are not so much looking for very superficial criteria, such as just focusing on how tall he is, or how attractive she is, or how much he or she earns. Of course, these things, I know that like there's things that sometimes we're looking for as well. But usually when people are looking to get married or they want to commit, they would focus on more, I would say, significant criteria. For example, like what you guys have talked about, I see like patience, ready to sacrifice, matured, someone who I can build a partnership with. So great answers here. So now that we have a definition of what the marrying type is, I would like to address the first question that many singles would usually have, which is how to know if someone is the marrying type. So I guess, like that's why all of you have called in today, like because we on our topic, we have said how to spot the marrying type. So we have Andrea, who is going to start sharing some of her thoughts with us.
Right, thanks Violet. So I will start with the men first, as I believe that men and women portray different telltale signs. Okay, so typically when men consider marriage, right, will be based on 4 factors. So the first factor will be where they are financially stable. So because they will feel more confident of themselves, and then they will be able to kind of like provide for their family and also to support them. And this usually happens when they are more like or less established in their career. So the second sign to look out for will be their friends and siblings. So if most of their friends and siblings are already married or in a long-term relationship or already engaged, they will kind of feel that this is the natural, step to in the life stages for himself also. Right. So for the third sign, it's actually a man's lifestyle. So, typically for men, they like to chill out at bars, to have drinks, but then when they are no longer interested to go to clubs or night spots to hang out, it is highly, likely because they are starting to feel out of place because they will feel that these are the place whereby young men are always trying to pick up women. So lastly, not only ladies have biological clock, men also have biological clock. So they don't want to be too old, like to play with their kids. So around the age of about 33 to 37 is the time whereby they will be seriously consider settling down. Because dating takes time. It's not that you meet her today and you'll be going to marry her the next following day. So it's actually good to start early so that you can have more options and meet more people.
Thank you so much, Andrea. We have a comment from one of our participants. She said that Andrea's network is not stable. It's a bit difficult to hear her. I mean, if the rest of you have that as well, please let us know and we'll definitely get that fixed as quickly as possible. So thanks, Andrea. I really agree with you. And I think the marrying type always usually appear to be, a bit more responsible, a bit more steadfast than their peers. And they usually come across as dependable and reliable. And male friends have also told me that, like what Andrea has said, a lot of male friends, in their 30 to 37, they have also told me that they do not want to be too old where they can no longer teach their kids things like, how to ride a bicycle or maybe even, like kick a ball around with their kids because, some of these things do get harder as you grow older. So what do you think, Melinda? I believe, you have some tips for us as well.
I agree, Violet. Yeah, and also other than the points which Andrea brought up, I want to share that I mean, all my experience working with singles and helping them get into relationships, I found and I see a trend in women wanting to rule out divorced men. However, studies have shown that someone who's been divorced or divorcees are more likely to get attached or married again. Why? Because they have been through a relationship before, so they are accustomed to living with someone, a lady, and they understand the joy of being in a relationship and how rewarding it can be.
I agree with you, Melinda. And in fact, a lot of ladies that I've come across, they have shared with me that, if they are going to be matched with a guy who's in their 40s, especially mid 40s onwards, they rather be matched with a guy who has been divorced rather than someone who's been never married before. Because I think that they think that someone in their mid 40s and have never committed, like it could be less likely to commit in the future. Yeah. So what about signs that a woman is the marrying type? So I think, sometimes people always think that, like a women, like maybe they are more likely to want to commit. But what we have found out that, yeah, actually there are some women who might not be the marrying type like now or maybe, in future. So I think Andrea has a list for us to look out for.
Okay, so similar to men, a woman will actually be starting to think of marriage when their friends start pairing off and they themselves are in a stable and good place to consider a long-term relationship and of course leading to marriage. Right, so I can share with you one of my client that have met up. She is actually in her early 30s, very successful young lady, very good promising career that she has, very good personality, very down to earth, family oriented person. So she's actually going to a lot of weddings through her friends and also her uni friends, and she realized that, hey, am I the only one that is not attached? Am I weird? Am I the odd time out? So this starts, this triggers her, and that actually inspire her to, make appointment with us, and through the consultation and, through the profiling session, then she realized that probably it's because of her communication skills and her approach. So therefore, through the coaching session set up by Melinda, and also through the image session set up by our date coach, our image coach, then she gets more confident in herself going on dates, and now she's able to carry a good conversation. And last word from my matchmakers that she's actually attached. So very nice to hear about that.
Wow, that's awesome, Andrea. We are always very excited to hear about success stories.
Yeah.
So, I think, we have talked about what are some of the things to look out for. I think right now we really want to go into what are some of the red flags that, our singles can really, like should be aware of. And it shows that maybe someone is really not ready to commit. So, Melinda, I believe you have some insights to share on this topic.
Yes, I do. So recently I read a book. It's called Why Some Men Marry Some Women and Not Others. It's by John T. Malloy. So you can go look at that, go read up that book. It's quite interesting. And one of the facts that he showed stood out to me. So based on his research, these red flags that it's talking about men, they may not be ready for marriage would be number one. So men who view marriage as a monetary exchange, and they feel that they may lose out. So what I mean by this will be if he thinks the woman is a gold digger, someone who's out to get his money, yeah, so then he may be more resistant to getting married. So there's some red flag. So besides that, right, he may also feel that he may lose out if the marriage didn't work out, and he has to share his assets with that lady, right, if they get divorced. So that's one red flag. So the second red flag is if his parents were divorced when he was young. So if they were divorced at an age where he could not understand, and he remembers this, and it became a kind of a traumatized event in his life, so he would probably be more reserved to get married as well. But for women, Andrea, what do you think? Red flags.
Right. So thanks, Melinda. I believe that when it comes to women, right, it's a little bit more uncommon for a woman to who is dating for fun and also do not want to commit. So around you, you have heard that they your friends actually break up from a long-term relationship because the guy doesn't is afraid of commitment, and therefore they actually decided to pull the plug. So but there are also signs that a lady can actually show that she's not ready for marriage, and if not even thinking about marriage yet, and you can actually look at the points below, right? So firstly, a woman, right, might not be thinking of getting married if she still has a lot of unchecked items on her bucket list. So meaning to say that she still have a lot of things that she wants to do, and simply feels that, oh no, she has not lived her life to the fullest yet. So as society expectations build up, right, a lot of women now feel that they can support themselves also, and they are financially independent. So they don't need actually a man to depend on. They can, comfortably be staying in a good, house, having a car of themselves, and buying a plane ticket just to go to Bali, So this also means that she may want to pursue her dreams first before, making the lifetime commitment to someone. Correct. So a woman may also be put off by marriage just because the parents are constantly like pressurizing them, like you're too old, when are you going to get a boyfriend? And if you are too old, you're not able to have children. So these are the things that may trigger the impression that getting married means having to have kids immediately. So if a woman is still in her 20s and still like trying to figuring herself out, and or this thought can be actually be very extremely stressful for her.
Thank you, Melinda and Andrea. I love this photo that our team has put up in the slides just now. I can imagine if I'm a lady in her 20s, and then, you have the dad, like, going on the loudspeaker, when are you going to give me grandkids? Yeah, I think I'm going to be extremely stressed out as well. Yeah, I do have some points to add on to the red flags to spot whether, like someone you're dating is ready for commitment or not. And I think, what I call these guys or these girls, they are actually time wasters. So like what the name suggests, I would really encourage all of you guys out there, like guys and girls out there, to avoid these time wasters, because their intention is really just to play the game and keep you hooked as long as possible. And they might not plan to settle down now or maybe in future. And I have, created some slides for you as well to share with you some signs of a time waster and what you should be aware of. So of course, like first and foremost, if you see someone who is never comfortable or always trying to avoid to introduce you to his parents, her parents, or the family, this definitely a big red flag. And the other one is that when you bump into like his relatives or his friends or her, like his and her interchangeably in public, and then suddenly your partner just stop holding hands with you, or maybe start to leave a gap between you and him or her, then that's obviously another red flag. You might be thinking to yourself, like, does that sound like a drama? Does that really happen in real life? And I really want to let you know that this is a real story. I have a very good friend of mine. She was dating one of our colleagues, and we thought all is great until she started sharing with me that he never wanted to introduce her to his family. And then it's true, they really bump into someone they know, like I think it was a family member or something, when they went to watch a movie. They were outside the cinema buying popcorns and things like that, and he just kind of like moved away from her, like immediately once he saw that common friend. So I think like obviously this is really red flags. And even though he or she might try to come up with a lot of excuses for it, but I would say it's very important to really have a good talk with the person, and don't let the person get away with it. I think we have talked a lot about boundaries in the past as well. Like, so if you let the person get away with some of these things, they will just feel that, oh, it's okay, and they will just keep continuing. So you need to know for sure whether this is someone who's serious about you, or this person is actually a time waster. And another red flag to, of course, look out for is, whenever the topic of commitment come up. So I think, a lot of you just now have mentioned that commitment is, obviously a big thing. Then, he would actually shy away from them and quickly change the subject. So, for example, you say, okay, like, where do you see this going? Like, do you see us settling down, in the future? And they just kind of say, oh, like, how's your food? Okay, maybe it's not so blatant, but, you get what I'm trying to say. And I think another thing to look out for is also, after breaking up, this person would actually continue to contact you and keep continuing to want to have a hold on you, but without the commitment of being boyfriend and girlfriend. So of course, like, if you have invested quite a lot of your time in the relationship, it's very difficult to let go, and you kind of like, you're very comfortable, and you're kind of hopeful as well, like maybe something might come out of it. But I would say that, if this person is not willing to really commit, these are really signs of a time waster, and you really need to look out for it.
I agree, Violet. I met many singles who have been coming to me with these problems. So they've been dating the same guy for years, and they don't move on to the next level. My advice to these clients or these singles is to forget the fantasy that you can change him, because you cannot fix him, and I repeat, you cannot fix him. So have a firm decision, a firm deadline on each level of commitment, like give 6 months, 9 months. And once the deadline is up, give an ultimatum. If he still doesn't want to commit, or if he gives you a lot of excuses why the deadline should be extended, then be firm with your decision and leave him.
I'm totally with you on this, Melinda. And, I have been asked this question by many singers, so for example, singers have asked me, oh, Violet, but I've invested 3 years with this guy, like, what am I going to do now? If you want me to move on, then I have to start the whole cycle over again. I have to go and meet a new person. I have to date this person. And then, I don't know when, I'm going to settle down. But that's actually precisely why you need to move on, because you have already invested 3 years in a time waster. And if the person you are dating is a time waster, chances are you're going to end up investing another 3 years and still not having a ring on your hand. And in fact, like, we do see, quite a number of such examples, in our agency. So we have, singers coming to us, and then they have just been out of a 6 years relationship, a 7 years relationship, and they are like, I've wasted my youth, on this person, but it just didn't happen. So I think, like, thanks, Melinda, for that. I totally agree with you. It's like give an ultimatum. If the person is not going to commit or keep giving a bunch of excuses, it's really time to move on. Yep. So right now, I just wanted to come back to our participants right now. I just want to hear from you guys. How have you found the tips that we've given you? Like, have you learned some things that you can use right now in your dating journey? If you have, do type yes in the chat box right now. And you can also share with us, what is the one main thing that you have take away so far? What is the thing that immediately comes to your mind? Like, so we have Sunny who say awesome tips, Charles say wow, Michelle say woohoo, yes. Thanks guys, that's super awesome. Fanny say thank you for this topic on time waster. I was in an 8 years relationship only to realize that he was a time waster. Oh no, Fanny, I mean I'm really sorry to hear that, but at the same time I'm so happy to hear that you have realized that, because it is great that you realize it now and not later. Mitch say a big resounding yes. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I think we have so much to cover, and we are already at 9:30. Okay, so and for those of you who have just called in, I see a lot of you have actually called in a bit later. I'm sure you have been busy with work. Thanks for joining us tonight. So not to worry. If you have missed out some parts of the webinar, you can always get a copy of this, and do stay till the end as well, because we have a live Q&A session, and we also have a special surprise for all of you guys. Okay, so on to the last topic before we go into our Q&A. Melinda, can you share with our viewers, what are some of the techniques to attract and keep the partner of our dreams, or of our participants' dreams? And as we are running short of time, and we really want to do some great Q&A, so maybe both Melinda and Andrea, you can share 3 points each with our participants.
Okay, my top 3 points: attracting, keeping the partner of your dreams. So the first point is I cannot repeat this enough, and I say it to all my clients. So we believe very strongly in being the right one. So you have to be the right one to attract the right one. So what we mean is you have to work on your inner self and personality. So if you're interested in a certain type of person, how confident are you that this type will also be attracted to you? So do you have the qualities that match what they are looking for? And I have done seminars, like workshops, and so we know this. We usually say what we want. We know what we want, but we never really process or think about what the other person wants. And during the workshops, usually this is like an aha moment for quite a lot of my clients, when I put this question to them and I ask them to write it down, what they think the other person will be looking for as well. So not just what they want. My second tip would be think about your must-have and good to have. So these are qualities that we have so many qualities we want, and these are things that will not be able to be fulfilled. There's no perfect person that's going to fulfill that checklist that we have. So we should be focusing on what is important, what's the must-have, and be flexible on the rest. Okay, and lastly, the third tip would be understanding your own boundaries and values and sticking to them. So this is very important, because if you are going to be behaving in a certain way or being a person that is not yourself, just to be liked or impress someone, this is not going to be sustainable, and it won't turn out well in the long run. Yeah. So just to recap my top 3 advice: be the right one, focus on your must-haves, and create your boundaries, and of course know your values and stick to them. So I hope our listeners and our viewers get that. So do you remember the 3 points? You want to type them down in the chat box to see if you remember the three points that's important. Very
wow, White Kid is amazing. It's like immediately it's out there, Like, I think White Kid is like taking notes and just copy and pasting it. Wow, great job.
Listening. Very good, very good. Well done, well done. What about Andrea?
Wow, okay, great tips, Melinda. So for me, my top 3 advice will be as easy as ABC. Okay, so my first advice, A, will be an open mind. So most people who are married ended up with someone that is entirely different from what you have imagined. So like for myself, I also married my husband. He only met one of my criteria, which is his height. But other than that, he doesn't really fit into my checklist initially when I am trying to find the right one. So even on a daily basis, when I meet my clients, they will come with an invincible checklist in their mind also, that they want this, 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 this. If everything is not checked, or they must have everything on the checklist checked in order for them to go out with this person. So this is actually quite a wrong kind of a mindset. So as a consultant, we always be recommending our client to have be more open-minded, because normally our success couples are someone that is more open-minded in meeting more people, and also not to be so stressful as to really to have a forceful kind of a criteria onto who you're going to meet. Yeah. Okay. So the next point will be B. B will be equates to be bold and confident, but also be mindful of like having a self-entitled mindset. So what I meant will be like, for example, we have met singles also, like have told us like, oh, I'm hardworking, so I deserve someone, a very driven man, very career driven, or that, I'm successful in my career, so anyone should be lucky to date me. So, but unfortunately, dating is not like a work interview. It doesn't work this way. So you don't have to really, have this kind of qualifications, to meet somebody. So just go with a very easy, mindset. Just go there and, be friend. Yeah. So the last advice will be C. So C will be communicate. So this is a very important point. So even during relationship, or even like during a marriage, communication is really the key thing to keep the relationship going. Then you should never overlook communication. Everyone that you meet, right, has different life experiences as well as emotional baggage. So, and will react like differently from you also. So don't expect your partner to have the kind of same mindset or reaction as you are. And also like you have to understand that arguments during like relationships or even marriage is very common, and I will feel that arguments in a relationship is also is a good thing, because that's where you will get to know about each other boundaries, that you'll be able to get to know each other deeper and better, so that you won't repeat this again in your relationship. Okay, so right, so just to recap my 3 advice. So it's actually very easy to remember, like A, B, C. So A will be an open mind, B will be bold and confident, C will be to communicate. All right, so can you type in the chat box for the advice that stood out the most to you?
Wow, why keep really star student?
We should really give a prize to him.
Yeah, I think communicate is the one that stand out. We have Cheryl, we have Lil, yeah, and some say Edith say an open mind. Yeah, I think communicate is really the one that a lot of people have put it out. Yes. And Willie is also very good star student. Yeah. Awesome. So like very, very happy that all of you are listening and are really like taking notes as well. And I mean, I just want to emphasize again on one of the points that Andrea has brought up, which is an open mind. Because I think sometimes, when people go on dates or even when they're looking for a partner, they kind of have this prerequisites in their mind, or like they are just thinking that, okay, I'm going to find my future husband or future wife. And that can be quite scary when you go on a first date, especially if you have that sort of mindset. I mean, of course, like we know that we are all serious minded. We are not looking to, like just play around. But I think if you are a bit too intense, that can be very scary for your date as well. And this is some of the feedback that we have gotten on some clients. They just sit down and then they start asking, bombard the other party with like so many questions, and then they are asking very, very scary questions as well. Like for example, like I always say like, hey, I know you are looking for someone who like maybe can cook well and things like that. But I think it's very scary. Like once you sit down and then you go and ask the girl, so can you cook? Yeah, so just keep an open mind, and don't don't zoom in too quickly, you know. And I think also like what Andrea has shared, you know, her husband has actually only met one of the criteria that she has, which is tall. And then actually the rest of it, you know, it's really not within her criteria. And same for myself as well. Like when I first made my list, right, I have this long list, and then I was looking for a guy who is like very extroverted, you know, like life of the party. You know, I was looking for a guy who can speak Chinese and even Cantonese well, so that, you know, can communicate with my parents. I was looking for someone who is tall, you know. So same like Andrea, you know. So my husband meet one of the criteria, like he's tall. Yeah. So I don't know whether you can see their faces right now, you know, like both of them are laughing because obviously both of them know my husband. My husband is a co-founder of the company. So Jamie is very quiet, you know, generally like he doesn't like to speak that much. So that's why you're seeing me here a lot. I think some of you have met Jamie in one of our webinars, but he's like, okay, once in 5 years, okay, that's it. So sorry guys, those of you who are expecting to see more of Jamie on this webinar, 5 years time, you know, he'll be back. But anyway, he doesn't speak Cantonese for sure, and maybe even in terms of Mandarin, his Mandarin improved a lot ever since he started dating me, because he made a lot of effort to speak to my parents in it. But before that, you know, his Mandarin is really not very good. So I think, you know, what I just want to share with you guys is that, you know, just like what Andrea has shared, it's very important to keep an open mind, you know, to just see what comes by rather than having very fixed idea. But of course, you know, I think like what Melinda has shared as well, you know, it's important to have a list of must have and good to have. So maybe in my case, the good to have is, you know, like someone who can speak Cantonese, you know. So obviously if he can speak Cantonese, that's a good to have. But the must have would be, you know, like similar values, you know. So I think the tall also, like, sorry, like, I think that's a good to have. So anyways, so I would say, you know, someone who really shares similar values, you know, like be it family values, be it religious values, be it you know, like even personal growth values. So I would say, you know, these are some of the pointers that I have for you guys today. Okay, so now moving on to our Q&A. You know, we do have a lot of Q&A questions that have come in, and we have shortlisted some. But like I say, if you have not sent in your Q&A earlier, just feel free to put it into the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to get to you. Okay, so my first question from some of the earlier Q&A that I have received is actually for Melinda. So Melinda, in dating apps, sometimes a match appears very interactive, but suddenly goes silent for days, only to reappear again, and the cycle continues. How do I know if a match, you know, if this match is someone worth investing time in? I guess, or in other words, you know, like not just investing time, but going further than that, is this person a marrying type? So what do you think, Melinda?
This is very common in dating apps. So I think ghosting, I think so we call this ghosting, where someone disappears without giving you a reason or not telling you. And it has become a kind of byproduct of online dating. So there are many reasons why he could be doing this. But most possibly, the reason could be because of the sheer amount of options there are on dating apps and opportunities to meet people. So people may be trying as well or talking to multiple people. So they come on and off while they're trying to get to know someone better. It's really hard to know if this person is worth investing time unless you already know him or her a little bit better, maybe on a slightly deeper level, like you should at least have met up with this person in person. Yeah, so if they already met up with you and you can kind of gauge the level of interest on both ends, right, then you can make a more informed decision on whether this person is worth spending more time on. Yeah, so I would advise, if you have been chatting with this person for more than 2 weeks, you should move on and suggest a meetup already. And because an actual relationship can only happen if there is a physical meetup, a physical contact, yeah, then you will have a better idea on whether you should spend more time on this person. If this person doesn't want to meet you, then I'll say move on. Don't spend more time, because very likely he is not keen already if he has rejected meeting up with you after a prolonged period. Okay.
Thank you, Melinda, for that. Totally agree with you, to see whether the person is willing to meet you in person. And then if the person is not even willing to invest the time to meet in person, then yeah, just move on. It's not worth your time. We have another question here as well. And this one, I would like to direct it to Andrea. Whenever I ask my other half to meet his family or my family, he is not able to commit. Seems like the world is only revolving around the two of us. And when I want to discuss it, he's unable to answer. So I'm feeling lost and uncertain. Is this the time to end the relationship?
Okay, so I would say that if you guys are dating for like a couple of months, like less than 6 months, meeting family, you know, his family, or like meeting your family can be quite stressful for somebody. So I think both parties have to be ready first in order to meet each other's parents, and of course the whole entire family. And then I would think that if during the try not to actually be talking about this all the time, like, hey, are you going to meet my parents? Are you going to meet my family? Are you not serious with me? Because if your partner is not ready to meet your parents, and if you keep pressurizing and putting this as one of your topic every time you go on a date, right? This will actually have a repercussion, as in that he will actually be feeling very stressed up, and eventually probably he will just give up on the relationship. So I think really have to talk it out, and really understand about why is the reason why that he is kind of like not able to meet your parents. Is it because that he's shy, or like he don't know how to integrate into your family? So I think talk it out, try to talk it out with your partner first, and not really pressurizing him or her on a daily basis.
Thank you, Andrea, for that. I think
Yes.
that's definitely a very good point. It's
Yeah.
important not to constantly bring it up, and then I think that's going to be very pressurizing, on the guy. At the same time, similarly, like what we have talked about with time wasters as well. So I think Andrea brought a very good point in terms of the time frame. So I mean, obviously, if you have just met like 2 weeks ago or a month ago, and immediately you expect to meet his family or for him to meet your family, they might not feel comfortable, because they are not sure yet. But I think, I think we have talked about the 5 stages of relationship in some of our previous webinars as well, but I just go through it very quickly now. So the 5 stages would be getting to know each other, attraction, exclusivity, intimacy, and then engagement. So I think sometimes the challenge is that one person think that they are already at a very high stage. So maybe for you, you think you're already at the engagement stage, or like the intimacy stage, but for the other person, they might just think we are still in the getting to know you stage. So with that, if the person feel that, oh, we are just only in stage 2, then obviously they won't feel very comfortable like meeting the family so quickly. So I think it's important to always double check whether you're on the same stage, and not to go a bit too far ahead, because if you do that, then what will happen is that you just end up getting hurt. So yeah, thanks Andrea for that. Okay, so there's another question here. I will try and answer this. If your other half only wants to cohabitate and not get married by law, is the relationship still worth continuing? Okay, so I think this is a great question. And at the same time, I would say that it really depends, and it really depends on you. Okay, I think there are people who are totally comfortable with these arrangements. Like I have friends, who they are not married by law, but they are in a cohabitation sort of relationship, or maybe in other countries, they might even call it a de facto relationship, and both are fine with this arrangement. However, of course, if one person is not happy with this arrangement, then it's going to be a problem. So I think my question is actually back to you. Are you comfortable with this relationship the way it is? So let's say, like maybe you're comfortable with it now, maybe from now till like maybe even 1 or 2 years, you're comfortable with it. But are you comfortable with it in 5 years time? Are you comfortable with it in 10 years time? So I think the challenge sometimes is that I think Melinda have talked about this as well. Like we expect the other person to change. So of course, like we hope that the person might change their mind, they might change their decision. But I think my question to you is, what if they do not change? Can you live with that decision? So, like you have to decide right now that if the person really do not change their mind, are you able to live with this decision? If you are not, then maybe this is not the right relationship for you. But if it's something that you can accept, then, by all means, go forward. Yeah. We have a lot more questions here, so let me just open it up, and then Melinda, Andrea, we're going to do like, you know, like quick fire sort of questions because we want to try and, you know, cover as many as possible. Okay, so from Surin, we have this question: will a prenuptial agreement protect you from a gold digger? Okay, Melinda, any thoughts on this?
Wow, that came from nowhere. Well, I think it's not very common, right, for prenuptials. I think usually they are done by people who have great wealth or great things to protect. Yeah, so I would think it costs a lot to go do a prenuptial. So I don't think it's something that is practiced often. Yeah, so yeah, but do you have more to advise on this?
So our listeners are very helpful, so they have come to our rescue. So actually what they say is right. So prenups are actually not valid in Singapore. So, you know, there are some countries where prenup is valid, but it's not valid in Singapore. So yes, something for the person who asked this question to think about. Okay, so let's see. Another question. Okay, so Andrea, this one is for you. How long in a relationship should we look out if that person is a time waster? So I think what Christine is trying to say is like, how do we know how long, you know, like are we in that relationship already, you know, then we know that this person is like wasting our time.
Right. So I feel that having similar values and goals in life will be a good indication of whether this person is going to be your lifetime partner. Because if you guys are having different goals in life or values are not really similar, most likely that the two of you will be drifted, you know, further and further apart from each other in the relationship. So if you have detected like, you know, he's not able to be aligned with what you think, and also in terms of what you're going to achieve. For example, if you're someone that loves kids and want kids in future, but then he is someone that's a straight no, I hate kids, you know, I wouldn't want to have kids in future. So this is actually one of the red flags that you should really look out for. So because I would not encourage my clients to you know, try out this relationship, and of course because you will not be able to change a person's mindset that easily, then probably you will be kind of like kind of wasting your time also, and wasting your time, your precious time, into a relationship that doesn't really have a ending that you expected.
Thank you, Andrea. We have another interesting question here from Yelena. So I'll take this one. Yelena say, I'm 40. I like to date guys who are 10 to 15 years younger. How to make him commit? Very interesting question. So I will make it short and sweet. I think a lot of times it's not so much about the age, but it's also about maturity of the person as well. So I think, you know, we have seen some examples where there are they call it I can't remember what's the name for this type of relationship. Summer spring, is it? What was the word? Melinda, Andrea, you all remember. But anyways, I think the idea behind it is that it's not so much just about the age, but because if the person is mature, they are, you know, looking to have a long-term relationship, then they might commit. Because, you know, it is likely that potentially you date someone who is maybe 10 to 15 years older, they might also not commit. So I think, you know, whatever that we have shared now with regards to looking out for the marrying type, you know, like, don't just look at the age. I know we did talk about the age bracket, but I mean, if we just do a quick calculation, like 40 minus 10, like, okay, it's still in the 30s, that there are guys who commit at 30 as well. So I hope this answers your question. Melinda, this one is for you from Sunny. Is it okay to go on a relationship on a first date and to hold hands?
Sorry, to go on a relationship? You mean to propose a relationship?
Yeah, so I think, you know, like, I think what Sunny is probably trying to say is like, you know, on a first date and immediately to, you know, like get into a relationship and to start holding hands.
I think it's a bit fast, to be very honest, especially with our Asian culture. We tend to be more reserved, especially for ladies. Of course, it's case by case, but to be very honest, I think most generally, first date is a bit too fast, because you don't know that person yet. You haven't even gotten to know if you really want to go deeper with this person. So I advise at least minimum 3, 4, which is also pretty fast already. Yeah, but I think coaches usually we will say maybe 4 to 6. You can even tell if you want to proceed with this person. But to be honest, first date, a bit fast to get into relationship. Holding hands, It's possible. If it's very casual, you could make it more casual, like, you know, helping her cross the road, hold her hands, things like that. If she doesn't feel that you are coming on too strong and she's pretty open, then it's possible for holding hands. But again, to take the safe route, I don't think on first dates lah, generally.
Thank you, Melinda. Okay, so next question. This is for Andrea. A question from Lizzie. Can I date a few guys instead of just focusing on one? What do you think, Andrea?
Okay, I personally feel that if you're not in an exclusive relationship, it's fine. So you can actually be meeting more people and have options. Yeah, as long as you're, I mean, if you are really fixed a guy to be in a exclusive relationship, then it would be better that you can focus entirely on him.
Awesome. Thanks,
Yeah.
Andrea. Okay, I'll try and answer two questions in one because I think it is kind of similar but different. So one question is, does money matter in a relationship? And the other question is, does religion matter for marriage? Okay, so I would say that if you know, like just read some of the reports out there, one of the key reasons why a lot of marriages fail is actually because of money matters. So I would say it's not so much about whether the person is rich or poor or things like that, but it's just because both partners have differing ways of handling money. So I would definitely say that, you know, before getting into a marriage, especially, I mean, even when you're in a serious relationship, it's really good to have what we call the money talk. Again, not to say whether you're rich or poor, but really to focus on how both of you are going to handle your money going forward. You know, are you going to have combined accounts? Are you going to have separate accounts but have a combined account? You know, like how do you deal with large purchases? Yeah, so I think all of this is really important, because if you don't have those kind of conversations early on, when things get very stressful, you know, that's definitely a very big stressor on marriages. The other question, which is, you know, does religion matter? So again, research has shown that having different religions is not the problem. Again, the problem is really the acceptance. So, you know, for example, one person is of religion X, the other person is of religion Y, and like, let's say, you know, religion X keep trying to get religion Y to do certain things, and then, you know, religion Y, you know, is also doing the same. Then that's where a lot of the challenges happen. I mean, for example, you have someone of a certain religion, the other person is a free thinker, and then if the free thinker still allowed the first person to pursue their own religion, then it works. So again, not so much about what both their religions are, but really how they handle the situation. Okay, another question here, a very cute question here from Pei Yong. So this one is for you, Melinda. Some guy will just hold hand inside cinema, when outside cinema won't hold your hand. What does it mean?
I think he's just shy. Yeah, because in a dark environment, right, you can't see your reaction or your expression. Yeah, so it is quite interesting, but I think guys do get a little bit more bold in cinemas in dark environments. Yeah, I don't think he should be too much into it. He doesn't want to hold your hand outside. He could be really just shy. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so a quick one for you as well, Andrea, from Cheryl. If meeting with long distance online during COVID, not able to meet soon, what to do?
Continue to meet on Zoom. I think keeping the relationship warm is very important. And also, you know, because if you guys are not losing the connection, relationship will just fade off very easily. So I think even like not if you are not free for a call, so I think texting works. So not really have to be, you know, lunch, dinner, to text her, but it's a good gesture also to like kind of like text her how is your day, and also to share with her how is your day also. Then you guys can actually connect from there. Yeah, of course, talking over the phone will be a good thing to invest your time also, because I think texting and talking on the phone, it really has a different kind of a feeling.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrea. So we are at 9:57 right now. So thank you so much for all your questions. But as we know, time always flies when we are having fun. And we are already coming to the end of the webinar. I hope all of you have learned a lot from all our sharing tonight on how to spot, attract, and keep the right one. So as promised, Okay, so as promised, we have something very special prepared for you tonight. So, all of you who have tuned in tonight, you're entitled to a complimentary coaching session with one of our date coaches or dating consultant. So this is going to be a one-to-one session. So our coach will be able to personally answer your questions because, there are actually a lot of questions that have come in tonight, but we have not been able to answer all of them. So, if you would like to take the opportunity to have this one-on-one session with our dating coaches or dating consultants, they'll be able to help you to answer any of your dating challenges. So all you need to do right now is just to go to this link. You can see here bit.ly/LA webinar gift to claim this offer. So I believe Christina will also be putting this in the chat box as well, and also in the Q&A box. And I think a lot of you have also asked us, whether you can get a copy of tonight's recording. Definitely, if you'd like to get a copy of the recording, you can just drop us an email at love@lunchactually.com, and then we'll send you the link to it once it's available. So thank you so much for all your participation tonight. And I think, if you have really enjoyed tonight's webinar, do remember to follow us on our Facebook and Instagram. And like I say, I know a lot of you are newcomers. So do make sure you get on our mailing list as well so that you do not miss out on our next webinar. I also want to very quickly share with you our webinar for next week. So just remember, next week, we are actually going to have the webinar on a Wednesday. So instead of our usual Thursday, it's actually going to be on a Wednesday. So we're going to have someone who might be very familiar to a lot of you. So she's actually a TV presenter. You might see her on Channel 8. She's usually on the 6 p.m. News. So her name is Yu Yi. So those of you who know of Yu Yi, maybe you can just share with us right now. Yeah, so we are very excited to have Yu Yi to come on to share with us, 5 tips to instantly engage with everyone that you meet. Yeah, so we see some of you very excited and you're saying yes. Yeah, so yes, Yu Yi will be coming on to share with us. So this is obviously something that she is she's very good in, presenting herself well, always making a great first impression. So if this is something that you would like to learn more about, so just feel free to register for it. It's going to happen next Wednesday at 9 p.m. So we have really enjoyed all your participation, your energy, your engagement today. So I hope our tips have helped you, and I look forward to seeing you again at our next webinar. So like I say, it will be next Wednesday at 9 p.m. And don't forget to claim your webinar gift. So you can claim your complimentary coaching session with our date coach or dating consultant. All you need to do is to go to this link, and then we'll able to contact you. So yes, thank you guys. So I see a lot of you saying thank you, and Billy who say my family love watching you eat TV show. Yes. So remember to join us next week then. Yeah, thank you guys.